So let's talk about why the quarter is so important when you're doing filmmaking. So I'm using a Joby pod right now, you know, the Gorilla pod, the bendy tripod that everybody uses. And in order to get it onto my regular tripod, I have to take this off. And if you could see this piece right here, a quarter fits in there perfectly, as well as to the attachment on the Joby. So if you need an easy way to get these on and off of your camera, the quarter's the way to go. But we're gonna take a few things on the trip today. So I've got my 10-by day bag with me, so that just fits right back on my backside. We're gonna be taking the tripod in case we wanna do any photos, especially for the thumbnails of the video. And then also, I showed you guys the awesomeness of a monopod, like in a couple videos ago. We're gonna try to get some shots with this, but also the hike that we're about to do is kind of crazy. So if I take the monopod, I can actually double this as like a walking stick to kind of help me through. So 2 for 1, I guess. To keep my gear as minimal as possible, I've decided to leave the Joby in the car. It's just gonna make for an easier transition back and forth between the monopod that I'm using now and the tripod that I've got strapped on the back of my backpack. This is kind of where we're gonna be going. We're gonna actually be going to the top of this little spot here. So this is known as Backbone Rock, and basically there's like a little tunnel that you could drive through right over there. I think trains used to drive across here. It's kind of sketchy, but it's actually a really cool place. So I hope we got some okay shots out of that, because I just realized that I was recording in 60 frames a second, but I wasn't recording at 120 on my shutter speed. Now, I'm kind of new at a lot of cinematics and slow motion. I'm not sure entirely how that's gonna affect the footage. I'm learning it's kind of tough, because when you're switching back and forth between cinematics and then just your general vlogging, as well as trying to take photos also, it gets difficult. So we're about halfway up. You can see my car is right there. That's where we started. And basically we've just been working our way up this little rock path here. So it's an absolutely amazing day, and we still got a little bit of ways to go. So when you're out shooting these things, you know, it would be so much easier if I had 2 cameras. I'm not gonna leave one camera set up for cinematic mode, one camera set up for vlog mode, and it would just make my life so much easier. When you don't have the budget to do that, you just really gotta think. You gotta use your head, and you've gotta be in this thing the whole time. But this next section I'm about to head to, it looks great for a cinematic, so we're gonna switch the settings back, get some cinematic shots, and we'll be back to the vlog in just a second.
I don't think there's more than we can do. How come you think that I still owe you anything more than pain, more than the pouring rain? How can there be more to explain? No, I won't go down the drain, 'cause I was there too, always so true, always so blind.
So for better or worse, I've set my ISO to automatic. That way it's easier for me to just mess with the shutter speed, because that last cinematic sequence I had the settings exactly right. So then when I switch back to 24 frames a second and 10-80, it makes it a lot easier for me to just switch the shutter speed. I don't have to think about quite as much. But how are you guys liking the wide angle? I'm actually personally a big fan of this. I mean, it is new to me. I'm sure over time the wide angle will be more of a gimmick than something I love, but as of right now, I think this is gonna be my most versatile and well-loved vlog lens because of the wide angle and zoom possibilities. Again, this is at 10 millimeters, which on a Canon's crop sensor, it's actually 17 millimeters, whereas this is how far my 17 to 135 millimeter actually did reach. Okay, so the path I was pointing at actually is the entrance to the rock wall. So basically, you're walking across like this natural rock wall. There is some railing on up here. It can be a little bit dangerous, but I want to show you guys how this is. Again, this is in Damascus, Virginia, as you're going out of Virginia into Tennessee. So now we can see again at the top, way down there, that little speck, that's my car. Kind of zoom in a little bit and see that. See the river across from the parking lot there. And down there is where we walked up. Okay, so this is all new, obviously. I'm not sure what happened here. I don't remember if there was a bridge. It's actually been a long time since I've been on the top. But yeah, looks like a nice new sturdy bridge to be wandering across. And then this bridge just connects to another rock. And now you can see the parking lot again in correlation to where we are. We started there at my car, wrapped our way up around and came out that way. So let's get to the good part though.
I don't think you're worth the trouble, trouble, trouble. I think it's over, then you make it double, double, double. Perhaps I should've known from the get-go, but some things are just too hard to let go. But I don't think you're worth the trouble, trouble, trouble anymore. I don't have to wait for the green light from the start.
So you guys can see my feet. Like, I'm right here on the edge. That's how far down we are. I'm not exactly sure how far that is. We'll just kind of continue on this little journey. I think we've got some cool footage. It's really hot out here now. So we're just gonna keep walking and kind of just talking about some things. This actually comes out on the other side where we've filmed and did some other videos, as well as a lot of my photos were taken. I don't know, it's just super nice to get out and be able to create videos like this again. We have another amazing vantage point where you can kind of see everything. So you can see all the way down there to over on the rocks, which is where I just was, like right over there. And then the original vantage point you can't see because the bushes are kind of hiding that over there. Okay, so this is probably where we're gonna near the end of what we're working on out here. You know, we didn't really talk about the lens itself, but I did want to create a cool video in a neat environment outside the studio to show you how the lens looks and everything. So we'll talk about a review on the lens next week. Stay tuned for Monday. Monday we're talking about, I think, the Canon 18-135mm lens, which is the kit lens that you get with the 70D, the 60D, the 80D, and different lenses. And we'll talk about this lens on probably Friday, because you'll probably be seeing this video this weekend. I don't know, it'll get in there somewhere. Also, while I'm working my way down this path, I'm gonna have to stop because there's nothing here to keep me safe from falling over the side. If you guys would, check out one of my friends. His name's Marcos. If you go to my main channel page, you can see a link to his channel. He has some great videos talking about videography and different types of effects and things you can do with Final Cut Pro. I know the basics of Final Cut Pro, so I can tell you guys some of that stuff, but my main forte is photography and like cinematic type stuff. He really knows the editing style and techniques of cameras, so check him out. He uses Sony cameras now. I believe he used to use the 70D. So if you want to learn more in-depth tutorials on videography that I don't have, definitely check out his channel. Okay, so silly me forgot to turn the autofocus back on after I was doing some manual focus on a tree up at the top. So I'm sorry if some of those clips were out of focus. I mean, again, like what we were talking about at the beginning of this video, there's a lot to think about when you're making these videos. You gotta think about your focus, your exposure, what camera mode you're in, you know, what's gonna look good. And if you don't have like an LCD screen that's bigger, like a 5 to 7 inch screen to put on top of your camera, and you're using that little LCD screen that flips out on your DSLR, it's tough to figure out what's in focus and stuff. So really think about your footage when you're out here. Take your time. I mean, I always seem to get myself in a hurry, and I just need to allow more time to create stuff. That's one of the reasons I came out here today, is because I get too comfortable in my studio environment where I can control the sound and the lighting and my camera. I always know what's in focus. I always know what works and what doesn't. But when you get out here, it really puts your skills to the test.